Hello again, and welcome to the 27th podcast of The Cavern Today. This is Moag, and it's my great pleasure to introduce this month's program. And what a month it's been. While still dealing with the loss of Willow Wheelie Engberg and her friend Rose, we found ourselves presented with the stunning industrial age of Urkana and the promise it brings of a new light for the cavern. Indeed, that's the inspiration for the title of the current episode of Mist Online, Uru Live, and drawing from that, the Cavern Today has chosen to entitle this podcast, TCT Lightens Up. Now, we're never short of humor in our programs, or attempts at humor anyway, but for the sake of moving on and putting tragedy behind us, as well as celebrating the arrival of Urkana, we decided to simply kick back, have some fun, and celebrate this month's episode. And so, with no further fuss, here's Dalkin Starbine with this month's news.
Shura, this is Dalkin Starbine bringing you your TCT News Report. Well, following the tumultuous events of May, this month was by comparison far more sedate. There were, however, several new areas released by the DRC. The first of these was the Great Tree Pub, also known as the Watcher's Sanctuary, an area in the city's Jateri district, which is named after the Watcher, a Dunny man who claimed to have received messages and prophecies from the Maker. This area, during the time of the Dunny, was used as a place for philosophical debate. It was here that Kate Alexander stated that a new age called Jellic would be released in a month's time. Jellic was an age used by the Dunny as a gaming area. Further details at the moment are not forthcoming. Also confirmed by Kate was the release of Urkana, the book to which was placed in the Watcher's Sanctuary on Tuesday the 26th. The age was a harvest age used by the Dunny and was most likely owned by the Guild of Caterers. It contains much industrial machinery and is certainly less wild and natural than prior ages. However, it is certainly still extremely interesting. One of the reasons for this interest is that one of the age's roles was to create special pellets. These pellets were used to feed the algae that resides in the Dunny Cavern's lake. Upon being fed, this algae releases a kind of bioluminescence. During the time of the Dunny civilization, this emission of light during certain times of the day would be the basis of the cavern day-night cycle. However, on the collapse of the Dunny, this cycle was damaged. On June 27th, the DRC sent official key messages to all explorers inviting them to use this capability to restore the cycle. After the disappearance of Michael Engberg last month, the DRC has undergone something of a reshuffle. Kate Alexander has been elected to a position on the DRC, a fact that has sparked some controversy amongst explorers. Now that she has an official position on the council, she also has influence in terms of decisions affecting the cavern, above and beyond her control of funding. However, it is understood that she will have no part in terms of assuring the structural safety of the cavern, Mr. Engberg's role on the council. This role will presumably be taken over by various restoration engineers. It is interesting to note that Dr. Sutherland believed that this move was a conflict of interest on Miss Alexander's part. However, it seems that both are willing to continue to work towards the restoration. One other member of Miss Alexander's cohort, Douglas Sharper, has shown that he is determined to do something about the recent problems with the Barrow, stating on Monday the 26th he was prepared to set off to the age of Noloben, which is in possession of the DRC, but has not been released publicly. It seems he was setting out to find and kill the Barrow that had earlier been confirmed by Miss Alexander to be responsible for Wheelie Engberg's death. While most explorers seemed to think this retaliation was a bad idea, Sharper seemed determined to see it through, saying, "I will come back with the body, if I come back at all." This latest action doesn't seem to bode well for the future. with some speculating that this could cause events even worse than those of May. On that note, Dr. Sutherland has recently unveiled a new memorial at the Kahlo Pub, not just to Wheelie, but also to all explorers and others who have lost their lives and were involved in the community. Amongst these names were those of Rose Taylor, explorer Pepsi, and former associate of the DRC, Phil Henderson, who, interestingly enough, has never been confirmed to have died. The DRC wish anyone with any other names of members to the community who have recently passed away to please forward those on to the DRC for inclusion on the memorial. Also of interest this month was a full activation of the Great Zero. The structure, which has remained dormant for some time, was reactivated once again at 4 p.m. on Sunday the 24th, Cavern time, thanks to the tireless efforts of the community to recalibrate it. The device, the first structure constructed by the Dunny on their arrival in the cavern 10,000 years ago, played an important part in the construction of the parts of the city, and is also useful in that, in conjunction with a key, it is possible to calculate your exact position in the cavern relative to the Great Zero itself. The blue line emitted by the GZ now sweeps the entire cavern. As for the events of next month, little information has been provided aside from the Age of Jellic, but more events are sure to be scheduled as we move into the month of July. Now we'll go to the In-Cavern Interviews. Shura, and welcome back to In-Cavern Interviews. This is the part of the cast where Dalton Starvine, that's me, interviews you, the explorers. I'd like to start off with an apology to William Clark, who I seem to have lost the interview for. Really sorry about that. And now to the interviews. The DRC paid us a few visits recently and opened up several new areas. Here's what Docro had to say.
Episode 6. First of all, I'd like to tell you it was much better than Episode 5, Scars, because it wasn't morbidly depressing. There were a lot more content releases that I was very excited about, including The Watcher Sanctuary, which was awesome, and Urkana, which was more awesome. And overall, I was very satisfied. There were no shortage of content releases, and there was definitely a storyline. And now, we're pretty much just waiting for Doug Sharper to get back from his wonderful trip to tell us all about the picking daisies and doing all the fun things at the Barrow, because he would never hurt a Barrow. But overall, it was a very, very well done episode. Well, I'm glad the pellet thing is getting going. We can actually see our progress now on the machine that is over by the ferry terminal, which is fantastic because we had no idea how we were doing with the Great Zero, so it's a good long-term project. And Urkana was amazing. I almost went to tears the first time I went there. So, and it was really good. And for any newcomers who might come across this interview, I would like to inform you that if you take the time to understand the storyline and the just basically the history around you, you'll really learn to appreciate Uru more, and you'll be running home every day to come onto Uru and to just see what happens next. Yes, of course, like I often say about the Myth series, there's one thing it teaches you, it's that everything has a purpose. And when you discover this purpose, you learn to appreciate Mist Online, Uru Live, a lot more, and you enjoy it. So really take the time to understand it.
Thank you, Docro. Next, I found Moiety, and this was her opinion of the recent events in the cavern.
Well, I really like Science Choice to use episodic content compared to what we had before. I really think it's a nice choice, and it makes everything a lot more exciting, having it all together in 1 week that's pre-planned. I honestly have to say I think I preferred the first episode better with all the drama about what was going on with Wheelie. It was just very exciting and dramatic. Whereas in this one, it seems like there's a little less storyline, but it's still really cool with the release of Arcana and the ability to light up the lake with the pellets. And it's really interesting to see where they're going to go with that, with all the pellets and getting the points and stuff. So I really think that's a cool addition with the ages and the technology, as opposed to just focusing on the storyline. So altogether, I really enjoyed all the episodes, and I can't wait for the next ones in the future.
Finally, this is what Archangel had to say on the subject.
Okay, well, I came into this new episode as the Relayer Angel. So I'm on the Relayers team as well as I'm a greeter as well. I like the new episode. I love Arcana. I think personally they could have done a wee bit more with it. But what they have done is very, very good. As a relayer, we had a lot of fun. I still think we are getting loads of bog-ups, like masses of people congregating in the one area. Like when we had the Watchers pub open up, we had quite a number of people there, anything from about 150 to 200 in there, and it was quite laggy. But I tell you what, people did have fun. They were laughing because of the lag, and it was quite a lot of fun to see everybody enjoy themselves. Also, when Kate Alexander was there, it was good to see people relaxed and being able to ask her some questions, and we were able to relay that down to the Bevans, which was very good as well. We were also able to relay it to the greeters, and they passed it on as well, and I think this time the episode was handled a little bit better than it was Scars. I found that Scars was a bit of a disjointed mayhem, and this episode went far better. I also liked that during the week we saw Nick White appear, we saw Marie Sutherland appear in the GOG and the GOG. It's nice to have them appear a little bit more often. I think the discussions that were held amongst the explorers were that they wished that the DRC would show their faces a little bit more than just once a week, every month, keeping us up to date, and just making the odd appearance is quite good. It was lovely to see a Ralto page and also the tie-dye shirts coming in. I think everybody just was so thrilled about it. And everybody's finding, I think, the palettes quite a nifty idea.
Thanks so much to all of our interviewees. For the Cavern today, this is Dalkin Starbine, signing off.
Thank you, Dalkin. Well, it goes without saying that during the typical mission in Uru, we get into some pretty rough situations. Between all the climbing and jumping, sloshing through water, falling through bridges, etc., our linking books can really take a beating. And while they are amazing examples of the dunny art of writing, they are still, alas, just paper and ink. So for those of you who may have damaged your Relto books and are looking for some way to repair them, we offer the following public service announcement.
Hi, I'm Joe. Are your linking books old, fading, falling apart? Well, bring them to the new 1 hour book repair and we'll fix them up good as new, no problem. That's our motto. Ink to link without the kink. Get it? Ink to link, cause...
Rush job, Pop.
Okay. You don't mind if I talk while I work? Oh, this one is ancient. You can tell by the paper. Good stuff. Whoops. No problem. We use only the finest materials and workmanship here. Oh, this is completely faded. Junior, hand me that Sharpie.
Here you go, Pop.
There, good as new.
Pop, the linking panel went dark.
Oh, hand me that postcard of Pismo Beach and that glue. They'll never know. Okay. No problem. Hey, does anyone know how to read these little square numbers? Who are these from?
Some old guy with glasses.
Hey, I can't fix these. They're all burned.
The Denis 1 Hour Book Repair. From ink to link without the kink. In the mall, next door to Rocky's Tattoo Cave.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of TCT Talk, our roundtable chatterbox about the goings-on in the cavern. On this podcast, we have...
Anthony.
Janathus.
Lego Addict.
Moawag.
Wolfgang D.
And me, Sherry. We've had some great stuff that's happened in the cavern, so let's talk about it. You guys, you want to start just anywhere?
I think you want to start with the their stuff and then get into the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, well, you know, Uruites, you know, we are in so many different worlds. And, you know, I promise you when...
Including our own little worlds. Yeah.
Yes, it's very true. But, you know, we've been scattered amongst all these online worlds like stars on a night sky. I've said it many, many times. And I have to give kudos to Susan, SZY, and Natika. They have both been appointed to the Members Advisory Board at in there.com, and we're really, really proud of them. It's another 2 Uruites. This is the 6th term out of 8 that Uruites have sat on, so this is really good. You know, kind of giving our spreading our influence through online worlds. Anyway, that's that.
It's great to get the word out there, because there has a pretty amazing following. A lot of people are involved with there, and the more that we can, you know, plant the Uru bug, you know, the more we can bring to the cavern, hopefully.
Well, you know, that was really what was interesting, Moog. I mean, there are so many people who followed us back home that we have made such an impact in their world, and then they politely just followed us home, and we are so glad that they are here with us.
Can we say resistance is futile?
No, let's not say we did.
We are right.
Yes.
We will add your own distinctiveness to our own.
Okay, now, speaking of that, guys, now, real life has been eating my lunch. Let's talk about scars. What happened? Let's play Catch Me Up. Catch Me Up. Tell me what happened.
Well, we can't be too spoilery about that. I think you should just experience it all yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm never in cavern. Okay, look, I'm never in cavern when the characters are.
You can borrow my time machine and go back a month.
Oh.
Or try running around Minkata on your own without any guidance.
Yeah.
Who do you think I am, Moses?
Right. Actually, Scars comprised 2 major elements. There was the drama in the pub, as well as availability of the Minkata book. And I know a lot of the listeners have been through Minkata and have their own thoughts about it, but what did we think of it?
First
it was very big.
Yes, it was
I haven't gotten
large.
through it yet.
It was. It was a fascinating age.
Objects in the sky are cool.
Yes. I found it to be quite a bit like the classic Myst Ages, in my opinion, in that all the clues were provided for us, except for the need to, well, we were even told to seek our path in the stars, so I guess that last part was there with the constellation connection.
Basically, yeah, it was taking almost all its
And wouldn't those little markers in the book be kind of considered stars?
Yeah, there was that too, but also the constellations, and the path was echoed in the constellation shapes and things like that, yeah.
Well, you gotta look at it. It took almost all its cues from the old Myst games. You're right. I mean, you have journal placed near with the clues needed to get through the age. Everything basically you don't need is right there. You know.
And like a lot of the classic Myst puzzles, I think it hit some people as, oh boy, this was excellent, and it hit other people like, how in the world am I supposed to figure that out? Now, in my case, as I posted in the forums, I was a draftsman in a previous career, previous life, if you will, and I've done drawings showing, surveying layouts and things like that. And those are all about striking off at a path at a certain compass point and going for a certain distance and then stopping and turning to another compass point and going on for another distance until you've actually closed a path. And so for that reason, the puzzles in Minkata seem very familiar to me, and I really, really enjoyed working them, although I must admit that I never got the 4th one without going to the map and taking the direct route to it. Because it seemed like there were just so many legs to the path, and so many waypoints, we had to, stop and turn. And since we didn't have a precise measurement for angles, timing was pretty precise once we figured that out.
Somebody said that every time you hit a waypoint, you're supposed to be on a stump.
I saw that too, and that was not my experience, even with the short ones, because I went back and tried that just to make sure. But there were just so many waypoints in the fourth path that I could never get even in the neighborhood.
I'm guessing if you assume that every waypoint is a stump and you're close to a stump at your waypoint, then the stump is the waypoint. That's what I was kind of thinking. But I've been through it once, and I went through it a second time after deleting the book, so we could do our little piece for the last podcast. And I don't think I'll ever complete that age again. and I'm thankful I don't have to.
Well, that being said, I really, really enjoyed the ambiance there. And I've gone back just to visit it and to experience it again. It kind of struck me, if you've seen, surrealist paintings by Dali, for example, and who else am I trying to think of?
It's Van Gogh?
No, the surrealist.
Surrealist, yeah.
That the landscape and the objects there were just so strikingly, photographically realistic, but at the same time unreal. And it was a very enigmatic place to be.
Did anyone else try to run off to the edge? See how far they could go?
I did.
Yeah, I did.
I managed to get directly underneath the stars, to the point where I could see behind some of the ones adjacent to me.
Wow.
You did it at night
15 minutes. Yeah.
Interesting. You've seen the dark side of the moon.
It's interesting that the age is that huge. You didn't think the plasma engine could actually do that.
Apparently
guys,
so.
I'm sorry. I have to interject. When I got into that age and was trying to figure that thing out, the first thing I said was, "Who the heck am I, Moses?" It was, if the forums didn't exist, I'd still be there stumbling around for 40 days and 40 nights trying to find a stinking hole.
That was my thing. I didn't find anything for the longest time.
It was one of those things I posted in the forums. I said, handkerchiefs. If you're going to blow dust at me, at least get a handkerchief over my nose and mouth. My goodness. I was
dropping in holes all over the place. It wasn't the right hole, but as Nathan's I go
that was funny. We were looking for, I think, 3 or 5, and we found the 3 or 5, like the one that we weren't looking for.
And
we had a little moment there where I hit the thing and we linked, and I think Anthony had just hit it at the same time, and we linked. I'm like, something went wrong.
Actually, and on the first try, I ended up wandering around for about 10 or 15 minutes. I actually just fell into a hole completely randomly.
Moag had the very same experience.
Yes.
But the funny thing was, it was the 5th hole, apparently, and I had thought it was the first. And then, after I'd gotten all the other holes, I couldn't find the first one, and then I climb up, and I look, and it's right there, and I'm just standing there. Kind of a blank look on my face, if you can imagine, like, how did I miss that?
Yeah.
Right there.
Who all found the soccer ball?
I did find it, but at that point, I had no idea which way was back, because it was nighttime. And so I didn't try to bring it back.
Well, I brought it back, but it was in daytime, and so I was able to use the shadows and navigated pretty much directly straight back to the cage. So now my soccer ball is right back up where I can easily find it.
And I was surprised I found it, and I thought, I'm never going to find this again.
Well, yeah, it took a visit to the forums to actually find where it was. Oh, okay, so that's where. And then I went down and got it, but that's pretty neat.
And, you have to admit that Scars rolled out smoothly.
It did. I've got to ask, though, what do you think the connection is between Minkata and the events in the cavern?
Borrow.
The symbol.
Yeah, that's pretty much my impression, too. The standing stones in Minkata, the inscriptions on the stones, they seem to imply in the hieroglyphics conflict between two factions of Borrow.
Yeah.
The stone even itself is somewhat split.
Yeah, and the split in the stone, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You might say that it's riven, but but I wonder if that was the only point of that age, really, aside from decorating the Relto a little bit.
Well, I think a lot of the story is best left not explained, and because that gives us. Yeah. Maybe the whole story is actually maybe the ending has been written, but we have there is a purpose to a lot. There's a lot of points to it, but to tell us all of it right now, we'd stop watching
Spoil
Lost.
the fun.
Yeah.
Well, true.
Yeah. So
you think it'll come together later? Think we'll have some closure that will actually tie these new ages together?
Well, Cyan has a 5-year story arc. Rand said that somewhere. So we may not see it end for 5 years.
See, I was watching that TV show Heroes for a little while, and as each episode begged more question than the one before it, and I said, if I'm telling you, if this show does not reach some kind of closure by that last episode of the season, I am stopping watching cold turkey. You are not stringing me along for another season. So,
well, see, with enough loose ends, you kind of lose track of them.
You hear that, Cyan? I need some satisfaction by the end of this year.
Sorry.
Well.
Well, we all need different things from our online worlds, that's for sure.
Huh?
Some of us is dead frogs.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, I was killing frogs.
You can't kill dead frogs.
Well, I was killing frogs that needed to be dead.
It's like a hot water heater,
Oh, no, but I've noticed that, for me, I have not been able to get into the cavern, just for personal reasons for the last month or so. So I feel like I'm totally behind. I am never there.
Join the club.
When the stuff happens. And it's a little bit frustrating because, you want to be a part of the storyline. You want to get in and get dirty a little bit.
No, I don't.
And I just, I found it was a little frustrating.
And you know what? I think that Cyan is really, really aware of that and would like more than anything else to correct that. But it's just going to take time and money and patience on our part.
Money.
Yeah.
All right.
Money is the major thing.
So, have we dispelled with scars and we can move on to a new light?
A new light.
Sure,
let's.
I'm a little anxious to talk about the Watcher's Sanctuary.
Yeah.
Oh, pretty. I always love it.
It's for those of us who have played the offline version of Teapots or the Pass of the Shell. We've noticed that it's been a little redecorated.
Beautiful.
Maybe they just cleaned it. Maybe that's all it was. Because I remember it was earth tones before. Now it's very blue. So maybe beneath all that dirt was blue. Who knows?
Or a fresh coat of paint.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, it is a restoration after all.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is the restored water sanctuary versus the. We were in the process of doing it, but we had to leave.
Now, yes. I've heard some kind of conjecture on forums that supposedly an instanced version is intended but hasn't been implemented. Has anyone else heard that? Is there any credence to that?
No, but you never know.
I hope not. Oh, please no.
I would really like to see it a part of the cities so that it can be, public or not public.
Yeah, it seems to handle crowds pretty well.
Yeah.
Well, it's a smaller map, so
it's a relatively small age. Yeah.
Yeah,
very
it's not
true.
so vast. But
I like the new population limit that.
Is it 5,000?
It's been reduced to 100 now.
Come on, kids, let's fill it.
Reduced.
Yeah.
Yes, it's been reduced.
I think that's a challenge.
Let's see how many people we can fit in it.
It's a goal to shoot
You
for.
had to give up a cone for every single person you added, but hey.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So, what do you guys think about the lack of cones in the city these days?
I'm very pleased. I always thought the cones were evil.
Well,
it's because they have little pointy heads. Is that it?
People have to collect some things. Some of them are cones.
Speaking of cones, I found out, and other people have probably seen this too, that with the new physics, it's quite possible, and in fact, it's not too difficult at all to kick cones into the fountain in your hood.
Yes?
Yeah, I've kind of
It's
had
not
that
hard.
happen while trying to retrieve a fire marble.
You can boot them suckers right up into the fountain. It gave rise... you remember the movie of some years back, 3 coins in the fountain? I did that and thought, wow, 3 coins in the fountain. And I even took a screen capture, and it's my wallpaper now. I'm a sad little person, you have to understand.
No, you're not.
I find humor in strange places. So, anyway, you can kick cones into the fountain, so...
Yes.
Must be known.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes. It's you could have the
going to
kick
be able to
cones
dump
into the
them in the
fountain marathon.
Well, it could be part of the Dunny Olympics or something. Yeah.
No, that's not what I meant. I meant like
like
for as a fundraiser.
Well, that's true. Yeah, kind of like a carnival game. You get 3 attempts. There's 3 cones lined up, and you've got you can.
Boy, you folks are just always trying to find new ways to waste time in Uru. There's a storyline to be lived here, and no,
we
we're
were in until
the fountain.
We're gonna kick cones.
As long as we were in until Uru, see, a lot of that is still there. We're
hanging on to the past by our teeth.
We'll play with anything.
You know in Eater Gira, when you're kind of in the higher elevation, looking down on the area that you link into.
Sure.
How you can kind of leap down there. Woo!
Uh-huh.
It's too bad there's not more of that in the game.
Make that little squeal that Max makes when Sam swats him when he gets in the way. Whee!
Oh, the wee?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm just thinking that apparently the muddy ground there is very flexible, and that's why there's no guardrail or anything. I would like to see more daring do's that we could achieve in the game.
Yeah.
Not necessarily with a purpose, because the whole having to jump down to the Gary-san Varo door. Since the new physics engine has been kind of frustrating me.
I didn't have any trouble.
I used to be able to nail it every time before, and now I'm not able to do it as well.
Well, the first time I ever played that with the old standalone game, I was ready to tear hair out, because not only... Well, see, they put that little red herring pinnacle down there that has nothing to do with anything except to get you to try to hit it. And every time I would miss, I'd panic link, and it took forever in the early days for Garisan to load.
And I'm sitting here going, Myst was always heralded as an easy-to-play game because it had simple controls, and what is this?
Yeah, and once you figured out the solution to the puzzle, all you had to do was do it. And in this case, holy cow. Looking around for Mario to make the leap for you.
And I might have used some of Sherry's colorful language in that situation.
Hey, man, my colorful language has purpose.
To offend people.
Yes, I'm a giant walking offense, Moab. What do you want to make of it?
It's cathartic. It gets it out of my system.
And into ours. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so what about, shall we leave Scars behind and talk about A New Light?
I thought we already did that.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, Moab missed the boat on that one.
No, I didn't. See, we ended up back at Greece and talking about the link, and I mean, that's old news.
We did.
Yeah. Anyway.
But A New Light. Let's talk about pellets.
Yes, pellets. Yeah, what are our first impressions? Now, some of us, of course, are familiar with Urkana from the Path of the Shell expansion packs. Mm-hmm. And personally, I found it a lot of fun to get back to Urkana because I thoroughly enjoyed it back then. Now, of course, the age has been repurposed, and the pellets have a very different significance than they did originally when we really couldn't figure out, okay, so there's this tremendous factory here, and it manufactures these pellets, and we drop the pellets into this little cave to light it up and see symbols. Ah!
I don't think that's
But in this case, there's more to it.
I don't think that's absolutely true because there was a light luminescent part of the Path of the Shell. And so I think it's not so much repurposed as it's been
expanded,
purposefully directed.
Well, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Because I think it's the same purpose, but maybe
let me throw this at you. Yeah. I thought of this the other night. Now, what do you guys think of this?
You missed.
Oh, man. Okay, anyway. Urkana was built by whom?
The Dunny.
Okay, right. And the pellets, as we see them, the purpose of the pellets is, as has been publicized, to restore light levels in the lake, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's a task that is necessary now because after the fall of the light, or the algae in the lake died and the light went away.
Correct.
So what was the purpose of Urkana before the fall?
Maybe they did feed it regularly.
It probably did need to be fed regularly.
Love the lake.
Well, that's a good point, yeah. Mm-hmm. I'd wondered that, what was the purpose of Urkana?
But who knows, maybe they planted the algae in the first place, and then they created the pellets to feed the algae.
Maybe where else is it getting its food?
I mean, where else on Earth does that algae occur,
That too.
That's an intriguing thought. They might have found that luminous algae on a remote age or something and thought, hey, we can use this to light the cavern early on.
That's all conjecture, but, it sounds like it would work.
Yeah, unless the algae was written into the age originally. So,
yeah,
I was thinking about that the other night, and it was kind of intriguing. And
that did just occur to me this morning because I jumped in because I knew my pellets would be done. So before work, I went in to try a couple.
Yep.
Of course.
Now, see, another thought occurred to me. See, these Moog thoughts come with amazing regularity.
Really? Really?
If you time yourself, so you can get up and log on, just about the time that the pellets are complete, it could interfere with like family gatherings in very amusing ways. Say, for example, a Saturday night, and you started some pellets on early Saturday afternoon. It's during supper, you see, and you have guests there, and you say, "Excuse me a minute, I've got to go upstairs and drop some pellets."
Dear God Almighty, that did not come out of me. That did not come out of me. Put it on record. That came out of
was a really long path to get to that.
Well, it's set up as everything,
My husband told me, I said, "Baby, I got to go drop pellets," and he goes, "Baby, you need to eat more fiber."
Yeah.
Go faster. And I was like, honey, I'm just going to have to shoot you now. I was just not ready for that. I got blindsided with that one, but I figured you guys might
I'm sorry.
enjoy it.
I was a rabbit in a previous life, and it's just, kind of stuck. So.
Fiber!
So, is it being too spoilers to talk about the movable rock?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Movable rock.
I just heard that it's actually was movable in teapots.
It is. Oh yeah, it was.
Kick it.
Oh, that one. Yes. That would make my job so much easier.
You know how?
My God.
What? Who's freaking out?
Me.
All of us.
Him.
Wolfgang? Why are you
It's a
freaking
painful
out, brother?
memory. The rock, the movement, and completely ignoring it and beating the. Ugh.
Oh, I've got the journey cloth to bring me back to this exact location. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen to him. Oh, sweetie, there's so much more to be frustrated with the whole teapots thing. Okay, standing on the one spot for 15 minutes.
I just walked away and read a book.
I'm pretty sure the standing on the one spot for 50 minutes is not gone.
Oh,
it
don't
better
tell
be,
me
or
that.
there will
Don't
be
you
an
dare.
outcry.
Oh no, the room is still there. And remember, the room only works if you are alone.
Oy vey.
All right, folks, you have, folks, you have to. It's my turn.
You know what?
Will cause an outcry like the community has never seen.
That's why we need that place to be instanced.
Yes.
I didn't think
if
of
it
that.
was an instance, no one's going to want to stand around doing nothing for 15 minutes.
Oh my.
At the same time, do you think that that delay was kind of a relative thing, and comparing it in the standalone game to the online version and to the real-time version? I'm not sure where I'm going with this, but I think it'll make such a difference if we realize that this is like developing over time.
Well, look at it this way. All the waiting that we've seen thus far has been increased over what we recall before. And I believe the pellets before were a 15-minute cook time.
Yeah, they're a little different now, aren't they?
And I also believe that the wait in that room was 15 minutes, which means that the waiting time may be more than 15 minutes, as is equal to the pods.
Don't just say an idea.
No ideas.
Leave and come back, do something else, and then come back to what you were doing. You can't do that with that age. You have to stand there.
That's right. You've got to stay right in that spot. Yeah.
No, there are cloths in there.
Wait.
But you have to be under the light. Yes.
I want to know why you find such rationalizations for such evil in the cavern. You stand 15 minutes in one place, okay? That serves no purpose. Unless I'm sitting in PMs for 15 minutes, which I don't like doing because my fingers hurt when I type. Okay? If I stand with my thumb up my backside in one of the pods for 15 hours, no, these insane times have got to
there's something to do.
They've got.
Is there an emote for that?
I could just walk it
Slash
just before getting ready to go and not have to work about it.
Let me go look. I'll be right back.
Oh, that was rich.
Yeah.
Okay, can someone mute Sherry before she starts using expletives?
Oh, no. It's just my curiosity as to why people need to justify this evil. There are so many people in the forums that are saying, "Stop the madness! Just stop!" It's like everybody's standing around, and it's one of those things where we like to be active. We are a very active community. We like to be going and doing. That's the fun part.
Hyperactive.
Hyperactive.
Hyperkinetic, rabbity things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Minkata was a really great example of, hey, you can burn 15 minutes running in the desert.
Just trying to find the first hole, yeah.
Yeah, trying to find the first hole, but you stand in one place for 15 minutes, you're going to have people want to rip their eyes out of their sockets, and they're not even going to want to fool with it. You know, how many people went to the forums for spoilers for the pods? How many people did that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But the pods remain, what is it, 10, 11 hours apart?
15.
15?
Yeah.
15 hours.
15 is just a
multiples of
repeating
15.
number.
And the pellets have become hours instead of minutes. Huh. I see a certain propensity developing.
Yeah.
I do not like it.
I do not like it, Sam. I am.
Yeah.
I do not like it.
Well, see, actually, I deal with the pellet baking time simply by starting a batch and then coming back at my next visit or the next day, for example.
Right.
And dropping those.
Same thing with the pod.
And immediately starting another batch.
15 hours staying there for it to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
who's got pellets baking
I can
right
deal with the 15-hour periods.
Well, I've got some that should be baked, actually. Yeah. I just need to go get them. I need to go drop some pellets.
Okay, I stand here, I go there 15... I get there, and then 15 minutes later, it'll let me do what I need to do. That would be fine, but it means I have to stay there 15 minutes doing nothing.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't...
So you have more important things to do, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
What if we could leave our shoes there?
Ooh.
Pressure pad, yeah.
I like it. Or kick a cone onto it or something. Yeah.
But they got rid of those.
Oh, they did. That's right.
The one cone.
Yes, the one lone cone. There is one cone in the sea, last I heard.
Yes, and have you tried to kick it? It don't move.
Has anyone said there can be only one?
Wait.
I was going to kick it off the edge. I was just
references now.
Yeah. I was feeling Andre one afternoon. I thought I'd just kick it off the edge, but you can't move it. So
who's Andre?
We'll have the return of the cone.
Hey. Yeah.
Guys, what about Eddie? Eddie's still around, isn't he?
He's always been around.
Well, why don't we put Eddie on top of that thing for 15 minutes?
Huh.
How would we get him there? You can barely get him up the stairs.
Yeah, you can't hardly move him anymore.
And remember, we don't have hands.
Hey, speaking of linking with things, have any of you guys ever tried in Arcana at the pellet machine to place your hand on the pellet and then link to your Relto and see if the pellet comes with you?
Oh, I have not thought of that.
It occurred to me, but I didn't want to waste a pellet.
Well, if you got a patch of duds.
I tried to link to the Varro cave without having pellets made.
Yeah.
And my avatar put his hand there dutifully,
and
then he stood there. So I think he was having like an invisible force field. Can't touch the link pad.
Really?
I've had that happen.
Because as I recall, I was able to link to the Varro cave with no pellet.
And also when I returned after having tested a pellet, I returned with the direct link book present where you test the pellets. I came back and found the machine closed. I tried to hit the button to open it up, and it wouldn't open. So I linked to Relto, back to Urkana using the Journey Cloth link, and the machine was open and working fine. So
that's a bug. Did you submit that?
That's exactly what happened to me. Exactly.
That's a bug.
That should be ticketed.
Anthony, will you get on that for me, please?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
How would I get on that for you?
Fix it, my good man.
There's a ticket system.
But Anthony, you're so much better at it than I am.
I'm sorry,
because
what is
I do bugs all the time for Microsoft doesn't mean I'm going to do them for you.
Ooh.
But, Anthony, this is me.
The Genathus.
Oh no, let's not start that again.
Well,
not the Genathus.
Oh, I almost consider bringing Sir Genathus to this recording.
Oh my dear God.
Oh, yes, you have brought him back.
So a little bit of Sir Genathus goes a long way.
Oh, yes, he most certainly does.
Well, have we run out of productive things to say?
Oh, no, there's plenty of productive things to say. We're done with the pellets, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, it's one of those things, just...
Well, we couldn't resist Arcana, but there has been other goings-on.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's very true, and they should be covered, like Douglas Sharper's latest escapades.
And has there been escapades or just announcements of presented or
Intended escapades, yeah.
Yeah.
Purported escapades.
Purported.
Yeah.
I don't know. Somebody just needs to hose him down, because I don't like the talk that's coming out of his mouth. And there are just some things that are going on with that whole, must take revenge thing.
Yes, I think he kind of snapped. Yeah.
Oh, he has reached the funny farm.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, best get him where Phil is before he really starts fouling things up.
Mm-hmm.
You want him dead?
No, I don't want him dead, sweetie. I just want him where he can't hurt anybody. Let's get, you know what? Let's just put him in the wall room. Let him fool with that. Just keep him away from the animals. You shoot one Borrow. You don't care which one you shoot. But then it ends up being a good guy. I think we should start the Borrow protection program.
I think there is one already.
We need to have a Borrow protection program.
Me in my sleep?
Put little hat, dark glasses on him, explorer's clothes, just big blue eyes.
Oh yeah, that's gonna work real well.
Well, dang it, I just don't want Sharper going around shooting anything that could help us in the long run.
The chat log I read, there was a lot of protest about the ideas he was putting forth, and I think very few explorers agreed with what he wanted to do.
Now, he wasn't charged with it. He was just taking the initiative to do it himself, right?
Right, that's right.
Being a vigilante.
He's always been a vigilante. That's nothing new.
Yeah, he has always been kind of single-minded. DRC and him have not seen eye to eye more than once.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this will be their excuse to push him somewhere where he can't hurt anybody.
To take us back just a couple steps, is anyone, when we were talking about like a predator and all that stuff, when the creatures that are being mauled, what have you, was anyone just really completely shocked when we realized it was a Borrow?
I freaked.
Oh, yeah.
Did you go, oh, of course, yes, Borrow is obvious.
I didn't expect that.
I wasn't terribly surprised.
No.
It made sense in retrospect.
I did expect that the Borrow weren't going to be the pure things that everyone thought they were.
Oh,
I've expected that for a while.
Which was interesting.
Clean a story for them just to be perfect,
Yeah. And from all that Yisha told us, we never saw this coming.
Oh, I haven't trusted Yisha since the beginning. She's insane.
But to me, I think that, in my head, these guys are herbivores, or, they get their nutrients from some other type of food instead of flesh. I figured for sure that's what it would be. Mm-hmm. And now to find out that, they're carnivores, all right.
I just thought they drank of the ethereal essence of the universe.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that too.
Well,
but
that and chips,
Yes, Dinitos.
Yeah, they're.
Dinitos.
But on the other hand, are they killing for food or for vengeance or for sport or
for pleasure?
I don't think they're even
just to kill.
Vengeance.
No.
That was way too random and killing.
Well, if it's vengeance, then it's vengeance against a dunny that no longer exists.
Yeah.
Oh no! What about the just killing random creatures in Nagalin? That's not vengeance.
Well, all the ages
wants slaughter.
Well, all the ages are dunny ages.
I thought it was already established that.
Yeah, there are already existent ages.
Well, that the Borrow were killing the animals just to kind of get someone. I thought that was already established, wasn't it?
Really?
I've heard that.
No, they were killing the animals to lure someone in there.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's dark.
Yeah, it is.
That is darker than usual for our peaceful little world.
So watch which Borrow you try to cuddle with.
Yeah. We'll see if I can sleep tonight. Yeah.
I'm not ready for the Borrow to be, bloodthirsty, villains here.
They aren't all, apparently.
Yeah.
We just don't know which is
all
which.
The Guinea were wanton slave drivers.
True. And apparently Sharper maintains that he can tell the good ones from the bad ones. But I got the impression that he... Well, yeah, and I got the impression, too, that he was just out to get any Borrow, regardless of their disposition, so...
What exactly will he use to lure the Borrow?
Oh, boy.
Another explorer, maybe? Is he bad around the bend? Or is
snakes?
That...
Well, not snakes.
Snakes makes them go away.
Well, snakes will keep them from bothering him. I've heard imagine he'll have snakes on him or something.
I wish somebody had suggested to Wheelie that she draw the snake symbol.
Yeah. They never liked that thing, did they?
No, they sort of freak. So that would have been an interesting plot twist, but I guess nobody thought of it at the time.
Nope.
I wonder if somebody had thought of it and said it if that would have saved her.
Well, I don't know. Talking about it. I was trying to shut it down when we were all in the city. It might have got lost in chat, though. I'm quite sure it was suggested, though.
It could well have been, because there was so much chat firing back and forth that, boy.
And then it was so laggy in the city.
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't even get in. Most of us probably couldn't. I was listening from the...
Well, I'll tell you what. One borrower comes along and messes with my Relta book, they're going to get a swift slap.
Smack. Yep.
But guys, I'm sitting here thinking about this. I mean, they were imprisoned for how long? They were imprisoned for a long time.
10,000 years!
Well...
Yeah, longer than the Denny had the cavern.
Yeah. So, take for example, if, you've got a faction of Barrow who got really twisted by the whole enslavement thing and were treated poorly and everything like that.
Yeah.
When you come out of prison and you've been beat up, beat down, or whatever, I don't know this from experience, but I'm guessing that, they might be out for some revenge.
That could well be.
And then there might be
Two wrongs do not make a right.
Oh, cool it.
Of course not.
Well, think of Savidro, for example.
But do they have that cliche in Barrow speak?
Do they have
Doesn't
what?
matter.
Are you saying I'm cliche?
Yes.
Oh, dear.
Oh,
why did you even mess with him, Lego? How many times have we been through this?
Moab, can you just, right-click Lego's name and just drop him from the...
Yeah, boys, take this out behind...
Take this up in the chat room.
Take this out behind the studio.
Yeah. But, for me, I really think that there is still so much information that we don't know.
Yeah, and I hope it comes out.
It's not right to make assumptions. Yeah. It's very not right.
It's fun to theorize, that's for sure. But
yes.
Yeah.
And that's what we do as a community. We theorize.
We certainly do. And logistically speaking, we're up to nearly 40 minutes with this little confab. How much longer do we want to take it?
You can probably...
2 hours.
We can probably... Is there a way to wrap this into a close?
See you later.
That's a major thing that's happening.
Goodbye.
3,
Thank you for joining us. Have a good evening.
1.
Things. There's still the advertising in the cavern and...
Oh, no, that's a really good one to bring up, yeah.
What happened?
Why don't we close with that?
All right.
Hey, Sherry, why don't you transition us to that last point about advertising?
Well, there's been quite a little bit of talk about advertising. I guess they got the bug with us and our Donitos ad. And aren't those Donitos good?
Oh, goodness. We're to blame.
Yeah, I guess so.
No, don't pin it on us.
Has there been talk of advertising in the cavern? You
Well,
guys catch me up.
yeah.
Tell me what's going on.
It came straight from Kate Alexander, didn't it?
Yeah, Kate mentioned that
herself.
I don't think she promised it. I thought she said what would the explorers, how would they feel about it?
Yeah, because she's explaining that there is a financial crunch on the part of the DRC, and they are looking for any way to bring more revenue into the restoration. Now, of course, the theories are going around, is this completely in cavern or out of cavern? And
okay, that's what where my thinking was going.
Is this a veiled proposal to try to bring more revenue into, GameTap/Cyan? So anyway, that's where that is.
I know what they should do. They should do video games live in the auditorium.
Oh, there you go.
That would be cool.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
That would be laggy.
Well, it would, yeah.
Yes, that would.
Personally, I'm thinking it is a veiled balloon to test and see what the community would think of them actually doing advertising.
Okay, now should we have a Coke machine or a Pepsi machine?
Right.
Pepsi.
Oh,
it's got to be Pepsi to commemorate our dear departed explorer friend. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm a Coke person.
Did you guys see the
I drink
memorial?
tea.
I did, yes. That was very nicely done.
No, I can only think with advertising in this manner that if you bring more attention to the cavern through advertisers, this can only help the world grow.
And I agree. If it's done tastefully and kind of subtly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the point. It's how it's executed.
But there should be no bikini girls in front of the mall. No.
No, nothing like that. I mean, that's not our way.
They could like open up a Gap store down in the mall strip or something.
Whatever, Sherry. You want to wear a bikini to Anone, I'm on to you.
No, that's not it at all. No, I was saying that I agreed with you about the bikini-clad things. I mean, that's not our way.
Yeah, it needs to be in the spirit of the game.
Yes, definitely. Now, I wouldn't, when I go to Anone to just keep swimming, let me tell you, buddy, I've got the dreadlocks on, I've got the short sleeve shirt, and I got my shorts. I am good. That's all I need. I don't. But Uru's never been about fashion. Who goes hiking in a Prada suit? Nobody.
Yeah.
So
Crazy
just drop that.
Laura Croft.
Well, yeah.
Oh, God.
Fictional
Leave
characters.
It to you guys to think of Laura Croft. Oh.
There's been a lot of talk of that in Game Tap, though, lately.
Yes, there has.
Yeah, there sure has.
What, a bikini-clad Laura Croft?
Well, no, just Laura in general.
Laura in general.
Oh.
Yeah.
Her long and sordid history.
Yeah.
Yep.
Boys will be boys.
Well, so we've descended to Lara Croft. Should we wrap this up?
Yes. Okay,
make an effort.
let's finish this off. That wraps up another edition of TCT Talk, and this has been
Anthony,
Janathus,
Lego Addict,
Moag,
Wolfgang D,
and Sherry signing off.
It's always a pleasure to feature works by our community musicians. We have some amazing talents among us, and the recent arrival of Jeff Wise on the musical scene has been a real treat. Jeff's recent work, Urkana, commemorates that age and succinctly captures both its beauty and its industrial grittiness. So sit back and enjoy Urkana by Jeff Wise.
Okay, explorers. Hey, it's Sherry. The staffers at the cavern today, they love to test my, let's see, they just tried to mess me up coming and going, and when I start laughing, it's all over the place. Well, you guys remember the speech and when we all first started Uru, where Yisha says, once again, the stream in the cleft has begun to flow. It was dry for so long, the water is flowing in from the desert, the storm is coming. Now, you guys remember this speech, and you remember how beautiful Yisha's voice is as she's delivering this. So, the staffers over at the cavern today have put together a Mad Lib from Yisha's speech at the beginning of Uru. So, bear with me. We are going to get through this. And I hope you enjoy the Cavern Today staff's Mad Lib. Hail, thou who art highly inflatable. Oh yes, not in Swahili, they won't gag. Once again, the megalomaniacal, artificially intelligent scythe in the 20 miles above the South Pole, hovering in a helicopter, has begun to flow. It was ribald for so long. The water is gyrating in from the desert. The axe-wielding chipmunk is coming. Have you heard of the nondescript flower planter? The rhombohedral nondescript flower planter, the ancient Starbucks, where there was power to get one's boogie on oranges? For thousands of space food sticks, the nondescript flower planter lived, exploded beneath the coconut. Keeper of the Hindu swastika, keeper of the tortoise, keeper of the llamas, always digesting. The nondescript flower planter grew ghastly, and then it gagged. The water implodes where it wills. It seeks its own face, uncontrolled, except that it flows north by west, always north by west. Madison, Wisconsin, city of ghouls, of other worlds, swam, but now it mutilates again. It waits. Some will extrapolate that destination, but you should extrapolate the cell phone. It's as a fine grape juice, colloquial beyond comprehension, but now substandard. We will show you droves, pieces of the tapestry, blenders of the journey. Find the remnants, these moose. 4,387,442.5. 4,387,442.5 in each age. 4,387,442.5 here in Karachi. Consider it a giraffe. No, an opal. Worship. The water flows sideways, and where it pools and bequeaths, and finally it reaches the Uruites, and the horse race begins to assess again. I am S.J. My automobiles brought me to this place. We will capitulate you. So, from all of the mean staffers who are trying to mess me up and Toroneko, this is Sherry for the Cavern today, signing off.
Shira Explorers, this is Moros, and I'm here to read to you a letter which the Dunny Linguistic Fellowship has asked us to pass the Dunny Restoration Council. Here's how it reads. Dear Miss Alexander, the tragic loss of Willow Engberg and Rosette Taylor weighs heavily on our hearts, especially coming on the heels of recent changes to Dunny Restoration Council, or DRC, personnel, removing friends to the Explorer community. While we mourn the loss of those dear to us, we also recognize that the restoration we have committed to will fail if we do not overcome our sorrows and conquer our fears. We all recognize the profound importance of this project the DRC has undertaken and wish to see it flourish to its fullest. However, comments accompanying these recent events have raised concerns among many explorers about the apparent direction of restoration efforts. In particular, your public remarks on May the 3rd, 2007 that, at this point, we don't have much need of translation of Dunny documents, and, in fact, Nick White was not doing any translation, stands as especially troubling. Indications that a replacement for Mr. White is being sought are reassuring, yet the suggestion that the translation and analysis of archival Dunny text plays a negligible role in the restoration comes as a shock and raises questions about the DRC's methodology and cultural regard. At its heart, an archaeological endeavor, the restoration cannot but place translation of Dunny language documents at the center of its efforts. It is well known that the Dunny were an obsessively archival people, recording their history and cataloging their ages in extensive detail. Such a first-hand resource ought not to be ignored. Rather, these texts should be fully mined for their insights into age and city locations under consideration for work. Technical documents will assist in safely reactivating long-dormant Dunny technology. Historical documents will tell the stories behind restoration sites and may even direct engineers to easily overlooked secrets or warn them of unseen dangers. It should be noted that there are a number of talented Dunny linguists among the explorers, some of whom have been studying the language for over a decade and can trace their educational pedigree back to Dr. Watson himself. These amateur Dunny enthusiasts are willing to volunteer their time to the DRC for its translation needs. Explorers recognize, though, the sensitive nature of these documents and honor the DRC's rights over release of its findings. We do not expect to be privy to these texts, but we do seek assurance that the restoration is being conducted in a historically, culturally, and ethically responsible fashion that recognizes the central place of translation of Dani archival documents. As you state in a message to explorers, we must respect the thousands of years of history that surround us and our efforts. It is in the spirit of this respect and the promise of new opportunities that we urge the DRC to reconsider its stance and shift Dani translation from the margins back to the center of the restoration. We appreciate your taking these views into consideration. A response may be directed to the Dani Linguistic Fellowship at danigrammar@yahoo.com. Sincerely, the Dani Linguistic Fellowship. For the Cavern Today, this is Maros signing off.
Last time on Journey of the Called, Tyon, Lan, and Ken entered an age of a very strange nature. And as they linked in, each of them found themselves in the same age, but each saw something very different. They didn't realize it at the time, but Tyon was in a future state of the age, Lan was in the past, and Ken was in the present. Each of them was traveling the same journey, and they had all shared the same experiences, but now they had all ended up in what was the fourth instance. Now together they began to try and figure out the purpose of their strange journey. The only thing they did know is that they were all called to that mysterious age, but only a short time would pass before they would find the answers to their questions. While all of this was taking place, another adventure had been unfolding for Ty's old friend Jeff, along with two other journeyers, Glenn and John. Their journey, like Tyon's, had begun with very few clues as to what age they'd found themselves in. But after a little searching and some intense arguments, they found a linking book that transported them to an age that Tyon had mentioned in one of his journals, the age of Najian. Meanwhile, Tyon, Lan, and Ken were met by a young prince named Avon, and Prince Avon explained to them the high price of taking the journey they had begun. Each of them accepted the burden, not knowing where their journey would lead. Two paths, two journeys, only now beginning. And now join us for today's episode of Journey of the Called.
In all of our journeys, we've encountered worlds with widely different conditions. And by that, I mean weather conditions. In Itagira, it was a bit hot. In Chemo, it was always cool and rainy. In Taladin, well, it's muggy. Oh yes, Garrison, well, it was usually sunny there. But never have we encountered snow and sub-zero temperatures. Well, now Len and Ken, myself, have actually stumbled upon that very condition. Of all the ages we could have been linked to, we had to find one like this. A freezing, desolate age. Guess Prince Avon wasn't kidding when he said this wouldn't be easy.
I think we should have brought warmer clothing.
Remind me, why do we wear these Yisha shirts?
Because we love Yisha? Oh, come on, guys. How could it possibly get any worse?
You had to ask, didn't you?
Come on then, let's find some shelter.
Oh, this is hysterical. Look at them there, shivering like dogs.
I've seen worse.
There is nothing that brings you joy, is there?
Well, let me put it in human terms. You'd have to wake up pretty early to get me to laugh at something like that.
Kirion, the time has come.
For?
Give me the fragments of the amulet.
Yes, my leader.
My leader.
It has begun. Soon my objective will be complete. Kirion, take this to the age of Najian. You know what to do.
With pleasure.
Oh, thank the Maker for ruins.
Oh, I second that.
Why is it always ruined?
It's the way of the world.
I can live with that. I guess I'll have to.
Where did I put that fire marble?
Here it is.
Oh, thank you.
And for just 5 more Denis dollars, you can get 5 extra fire marbles. That's right, 5 extra fire marbles.
Thanks for the advertisement, Len.
Just doing my part.
Where are we?
Good question. Len?
Yes?
Let's get to work.
Right. Breaking out the blank notebooks.
Okay. We've walked around this island at least 10 times. And the total sum of what we found? Nothing!
Glenn, learn some patience.
Come on, guys, let's look just a little longer. I think we're missing something.
You've been saying that for the last 5 hours.
Look, if there's one thing I know, it's that sometimes the thing you're looking for is right in front of your nose.
Maybe if you're blind.
Wow.
Oh, John, are you all right?
Yeah, well, I think I found it.
Ah, great. A sewer.
No, the ladder.
Let's go then.
You're actually volunteering?
The way I see it, you're just gonna make me go anyway.
Yeah, good point.
And we just keep going and going and going and going.
Well then, yeah, it sure is dark.
Well, thank you, Captain Obvious.
Well, that's what these fire marbles are for.
And with just a shake, boom!
Must you make your own sound effects?
What's this? A chamber?
Yeah, looks like. Very similar to the Lincoln room we started in.
Just light the lantern.
I was just about to start.
Well, hurry it up.
Afraid of the dark there, Glenn?
I'm not, but I know you are.
Nah, I live in it.
Great.
So, is this the sacred place of the mystics? A shame it's going to be destroyed.
What? How dare she? Kriya!
You called?
Tell Kyrian to leave that place at once.
Oh, Avon, you know I could never do such a thing.
If you dare go through with what you're planning, I promise you, it will fail.
We shall see.
So this is the age of Nagion.
You've heard of this place?
Yes. Long time ago.
Ty, someday we are going to sit down and talk about your adventures.
Sounds good to me.
Glenn, would you please hand me that pen over there?
Sure, but we are not done talking about this.
Yeah, well, I think... Oh.
Ty!
I'm okay. Whoa. I just got dizzy there for a moment.
Are you sure you're all right?
Yes, come on, let's keep working.
I take it your mission was a success.
Yes.
And the age journeyers?
That is another matter we must discuss. You see, when I arrived, they vanished.
What?
I cannot explain it.
Try.
It was like they linked away. Yet they did not.
How does that...
My leader?
So then, it is the age of protection.
Shall I return?
Not just yet. I have another task for you.
My leader, I am ready. I think I know what you want me to do.
Excellent. Proceed, Kirill.
And now, my leader, what do you have up your sleeve?
You shall see. In time.
Have you two found anything interesting yet?
I believe so. Ty?
This is it. The age of the maiden.
Maiden?
A place where a special mystic rests.
And now I know what Kiral's intention is.
Care to clue me in?
So this is what it's come to, Avelia. I will do my best to fulfill the task. But if I fail, forgive me. I don't know if even I can succeed.
Well, Sherry's been thinking again, and while we never quite know what she's going to come up with, we know it will always be entertaining. So, Sherry, what's up?
Hi, this is Sherry for the Cavern today. I have a lot of family in Uru. I've known a lot of you folks since 2004 in Prologue. So some of what you'll hear me talk about this time around you might be familiar with, but some of you might not. But this month I'm going to hit on another common sense thing. Y'all know how I love Andy Rooney and Paul Harvey. Let's talk about the big picture. Okay, so some of you may know that my husband works at a very large public facility. It's a museum, but it's more like a nature preserve. It's a combination of the two, I guess, and it's almost just like our native Denis. It's a learning environment, but with lots of adventures and puzzles that make you think. When you walk into the place, you could swear up and down that you were in the cleft. Hey, New Mexico isn't that far from Nevada, you know. All that being said, my husband came home and told me that I was going to get to go to the VIP opening of the facility. My first thought was, oh, wow, me, a VIP? Well, that's super. Let's go. So I got pressed and dressed and headed down to the place, and, well, I looked around. And there was a band playing, and all these rich folks were walking around and looking at all the beautiful buildings and interacting with the exhibits and enjoying the place. But more than anything, they were just socializing with each other and taking everything around them for granted, like it didn't mean anything to them. You know what I saw? In every rock, exhibit, building, everything around me, all I could think of and see were the people who made it possible and the people who stood behind them. Now that's an odd thing to see as you're walking around a brand new world-class facility. I should have been reading the panels about desert living and water conservation, but I didn't see that. It was just words on a board in front of me. What I really saw were the educators that went through and researched all of that information to put it on that informational panel in the first place, and the man who had to read all of them to make sure they were correct and sign off on them before they were printed and hung. When I looked at the buildings, I thought of that nice architect Jeff and his sweet wife. I thought about how she probably hasn't been spending the same amount of time with him as she did before the project started. And all the while, there are these rich folks floating around just walking by and taking the building that he designed for granted, looking at the striations in the rammed earth walls and remarking how beautiful it was, but they were just thinking about the building. They weren't thinking of the architect or his sweet wife and the sacrifice that she made for that building to be there. When I thought of the construction workers putting together the wooden planks that would hold the rammed earth into place to cure after they had made it, and how their wives, husbands, and children and their parents hadn't seen them as much as they used to before the project started. You know, we always take the finished product for granted. We never think of the people who are behind the buildings that we live in, or the time away from their families that it took to build that structure. We never bother to think about the families behind the worker that makes such wonderful things for us to see and do. Just as we do not think of the time it took for a teacher to get their degree so that they could teach our children, we really don't observe the people behind the scenes that really make the beautiful places that we visit and the people who stand behind them with love and support. But then I saw something, the director of the facility, and a few feet away from him was his wife, and she was so excited to be there. She was visiting with some folks, but then she excused herself from them, turned, looked at her husband, put her arm around him and kissed him on the cheek, and told him how proud she was of him and what he had accomplished. She was, she's in the exact same boat I was and still am. Our husbands haven't had a day off in over 3 months, but we both know that it'll still be another month or so before they have one. Then I'm going to tranquilize my husband and make him sleep for a week. Okay, but the rich folks walking around, they didn't see that with their limousines and their frou-frou clothes and attitudes, asking who it was that made their suit or dresses that they were wearing that evening. They were just enamored with themselves, the buildings, and the different exhibits. They could have cared less about how exhausted the entire staff and our husbands were. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I figure that sometimes we need to look behind the folks that make things possible for us. So for the spouses, significant others, and all the folks who make sacrifices for us so that we can enjoy Uru life, I guess it's just appropriate to say thank you, don't you? thank you to the texture artist's wife or husband who doesn't see their spouse because they're working overtime at home on texturing models for the different ages. The 3D modeler's spouse who comes in to check on him and bring him a cold drink and kisses him on the head before leaving him to his work in their home office. Thank you to the sound engineer's wife who has to listen to him make racket with different things just to get the right sounds for us to hear. The Rezang's significant others who hear about our adventures and the tickets we write up. And you know those nice fellows who write the code for everything to work and work with the physics engine? How about their spouses that have to hear about all the bugs, glitches, and problems that they just can't quite seem to figure out and are trying their patience? But those spouses are still supportive and loving while that poor guy is banging his head against a wall. Now, also, you got to think about Grey Dragon's other half, who has to hear about the community. And you have to think about Mrs. Rawa, who hears him creating a whole new language and has to wade amongst volumes and volumes of Sanskrit and Sumatran. And if Rawa is anything like my husband, oh, let me tell you, there are books everywhere. So, most of all, though, I would love to someday shake the hand of the Mrs. Millers and their children and their grandchildren and thank them for their self-sacrificing attitude so that their husbands, fathers, and grandfathers could envision this world for us and imagine the epic story that we take part in every day. You know, Rawa said it. Sometimes we don't see the really big picture because we're looking so close at the little bitty tiny details. I figure sometimes it's good to take a good hard look at the really big picture. But you know what? That's just me, of course. And this is Sherry for The Cavern Today, signing off.
It's always exciting to hear of new community projects, and this one is no exception. Subterranean Restorations is a new group who are pooling their talents in an attempt to research and publicize new findings pertaining to the Denis. So over to you, Montgomery.
Shara, this is Montgomery, The Cavern Today's investigative reporter. If you haven't been to the cavern lately, or you haven't been listening to the grapevine, you may have missed out on some very interesting happenings in Denis. Happenings that happen to have happened outside the DRC's normal sphere of influence. There is, in fact, a second group of independently funded restoration experts, archaeologists, and translators working in the cavern. Known collectively as Subterranean Restorations, this group is still small, but growing with remarkable speed. They've done this by taking advantage of the groundbreaking work already done by the Denis Restoration Council, but also by doing something the DRC has for the most part not done, utilizing the large, untapped, and freely available pool of talent provided by the explorer community. Already, Subterranean Restorations has sought the services of such diverse explorer organizations as the Denis Linguistics Fellowship, the Guild of Inspectors, and several others. Also notably different from their DRC counterparts, the SR funders can often be found in the cavern, holding interviews for restoration volunteers or hosting town hall meetings. They even answer their emails. Funded largely by Olivia Whitefield, owner of Hydrus Inc., a software coding company, and Vincent Kingsley of Kingsley Design, Subterranean Restorations is focusing its efforts not on Denis structures and ages, but rather on Denis artifacts, works of art, and texts. Of course, SR has its Subterranean Restorations Bevan and official website, both available to the public. However, not yet available to the curious public is SR's base of operations and the primary focus of its efforts, a Denis art museum located in an undisclosed area of the cavern wall. Until recently, the only way into or out of this site was by boat. However, Miss Whitefield has now found a way to provide her team access through the Nexus. While Subterranean Restorations and the DRC's methods differ in important ways, they have both had their share of recent setbacks. The tragic events of last month are well known. However, the SR site has been lately plagued by vandalism and looting. For this reason, the SR has engaged a security team. If you are interested in assisting Subterranean Restorations in its efforts, visit the website at subrest.webhop.org, where explorers are invited to help restore several recent finds, including some damaged Denis tapestries, partial music recordings, and poetry manuscripts. Please listen again next month to The Cavern Today, when I will go into more details about SR's site, and with luck, a secured interview with one of its funders. For The Cavern Today, this is Montgomery.
The Uru Live Yearbook. It's a yearbook for Uru Live. That's right. Your Abby's picture in a yearbook for Uru Live. If you want your Abby's picture in the Uru Live yearbook, please send it to ulybk@hotmail.com. Details can be found at the Uru Live or Uru Obsession forums. The Uru Live Yearbook, because we can. No, if 256 pictures are not received by Friday, July 6th, there will be no Uru Live Yearbook. This annoying commercial brought to you by Dalkin Starbine and Moite.
I'm Kate!
And again, we close. Thank you to all the team who have contributed to this month's podcast, to Dalkin Starbine for the news, to the JOTC team for Journey of the Called, and to Donahue for her assembly of this month's episode, to Janathus, Sherry, Anthony, Lego Addict, and Wolfgang D for their participation in TCT Talk, to Jeff Wise for his musical selection, to Montgomery for reading the open letter and for his contribution to the book repair spot, to everyone on our forum who contributed to the Mad Lib, and to Sherry for reading it, with additional kudos to Sherry for her That's Just Me installment. And this is Mowag, leaving you with best wishes from the TCT staff. See you in the cavern,